Hello friends, welcome to JavaEE EJP JPA tutorial. Now you are watching part 2 of the video JPA entity example. In the last video, that means in part 1, we learned about the basics of JPA entity and entity manager. From this video onwards, we will create the project and then we will code the entity example. So here we will prepare the database, then we will create JPA project. So at the end of this video, the database will be ready and JPA project also ready. And in the next videos, we will continue with this DB and JPA project. So these are all the prerequisites. This one is to set up Wildfly and Eclipse environment. This video is to create the basic for projects EJB EAR, EJB Bean and EJB Bean client and the web client. On top of this, here in this video, we will create a JPA project that will talk to the Bean. So we will add some code here in the Bean and the Bean client. This one is to set up the database within the Eclipse itself, so that without launching Management Studio, you can actually query the SQL Server database stuff inside the Eclipse itself. And this one is the video which will tell you how to configure Wildfly to connect with the SQL Server database. So this video explains how you download and set up the driver, then how will you create a connection for the SQL Server database, so that when you launch the Wildfly knows how to connect to the SQL Server. So the EJP tutorial requires some knowledge on servlet, some in the sense basic knowledge on Java servlet as well as JSP. If you have exposure towards these two area, servlet and JSP, you can directly jump into this EJP learning series, or you can watch these videos to get knowledge on servlet and JSP. So first we should run script to generate pubs and NorthWnd database. So how to set up this Microsoft supplied pubs and NorthWnd database will be shown in the demo, and you can download the script from the video description. Once pubs and NorthWnd databases are ready, next we will run the script here which is shown, and this will create a savings account table in the pubs database. After this, we will create a JPA project in Eclipse. So this will be a dummy skeleton project. Code we will add in the next video, but here we will just create the JPA project in the Eclipse IDE. Remember, in the previous two parts, we already created 4 projects. One is EAR project, and next 2 projects are for JavaBean and JavaBean client, and the fourth one is the web application, dynamic web application. So on top of these four, we will create a JPA project here in this video. So after creating this JPA project, our workspace will have 5 projects. 4 were created in the previous examples. So you can refer the prerequisites. Now let's quickly look at this SQL script. And if you see, since pubs and NorthWnd databases are set up here, our script uses the pubs. That means whatever database object we create, that goes and sits inside the pubs database. Next step, here we are turning on some of the SQL Server related environment variables and signals on and quoted identifier on. Then here we are creating the savings account table. So this is the table we are creating, and it contains 3 fields: person ID, person name, and balance. And the data type is a small int, and it's not null, and we are setting it as identity 1,1. That means this will be a auto generated primary key field. Even if we won't supply data, the SQL Server will automatically generate the ID with a step of 1. Starts with 1, and with the step of 1, the ID will get incremented. So after this, we are adding a default constraint for our balance. So by default, we set balance as 0. This is the one. So once you run this script, you will be having a savings account table inside the pubs database. Now we will go to demo, and we will proceed with these steps. First, we will create pubs and NorthWnd database. Next, we will run this script, and we will create the table. After that, we will create a Eclipse, JPA project in the Eclipse IDE. Now it's demo time. We will go to the demo. From the video description, you can download the pubs and NorthWnd database. So here I am opening this with a notepad. First, I am opening the NorthWnd database. Then I am copying everything here. Then here in our management studio, SQL Server Manage Studio, we create new query. Then we are pasting the content. So here we will choose master. That's all. So you can run this. You may see some error, you can ignore it. It will create all the tables. So we can ignore these two. And once I refresh it, here you can see the NorthWnd database. So it will have the demo tables, views, and other programmability will be ready. Next, I delete the content here. Then we will open pubs. We will copy this content. So here we already have used master, but still for safe purpose you can pick master, then execute it. It will create the pubs database. Now if I refresh it, I can see pubs database also. Now let's delete the content here. So in the video description, the script also attached. So here we have a script which will create the uh, sample table savings account. We will execute this. So you see command completed successfully, and at present we are in pubs database, right? So expand like this, and in the table you can go for a refresh and you will see savings account. The saving account contains three fields: person ID, person name, and balance. This one is the identity field, that means auto generated field, and there are other fields as well. You can also choose for design option. And you can see how the data types are displayed here. For person ID, identity specification, if you see is identity, it is marked as yes. Then identity increment is 1 and identity seed is 1. That means the column value starts from 1 and it will get incremented by 1 whenever a new row get added. All right. Here if you see, we are launching the Eclipse IDE. In the previous two project, stateless session bean and stateful session bean, we used this workspace. So we are using the same workspace. So if you see here, the 4 projects are ready, and this is a prerequisite. Now we will create a new project. So here it is a JPA project. In your case, if it is not available, click on other, and it will be under the JPA node. And you can see JPA project, or you can type JPA project here. It will get filtered out. Then you can pick JPA project, click next. Project name, we are giving it as JPA savings account. Then you can accept all the default here, and here you can choose add to EAR project, EJB EAR. So once you select the existing EAR project, you can see the configuration changed to custom and JPA version is 2.1. So it will be decided based on the EAR project. And if you want to see what are all the configuration, so Java 1.8 and JPA, then some utility module. So we will accept whatever is the Eclipse Neon IDE is defaulting. Then click next here. So you can accept the default here as well. And in the JPA facet, we can accept the default. Platform is generic 2.1. And here we are stating that library provided by the target runtime. Here the target runtime is Wildfly 10x. So the Wildfly vendor itself will provide the runtime. I mean the JPA runtime. So if you want to use your own specific library, you can go for user specific library, but here for our project we are choosing the JPA, which is shipped by the Wildfly itself. And connection, we no need to specify now, we will specify it later. And yeah, that's all. We will accept all the default here in the screen, and we will click finish. So here this dialog tells that Eclipse will switch to JPA perspective. Click yes, and this is the JPA perspective. And if you see, this is the JPA environment, and this one is the JavaEE environment. This one is the database development environment, which we already saw in the JSP development. So this one is the data source explorer. As part of a prerequisite, you may be getting this SQL Server Vault and driver new. So if one exists, that's enough. So here we configured one profile. This profile is based on SQL Server 2005. This is also part of the prerequisite, and this connection is inside the Eclipse. So if we want to connect to the database, say for example, I can connect to the database. Here I am supplying the password for my SQL Server, and it shows the pubs database here. Catalogs, pubs, schemas, DBO. Inside DBO, we created a table, right? And you can see that saving accounts table here. It contains the columns balance, person name, and person ID. So you can access this similar information inside the SQL Server Management Studio as well. So here I'm doing the disconnect. So this one is the data source explorer, and this one is a JPA structure and JPA detail. The structure and the detail we will learn in the next coming videos. So that's all here. So this will create a project here. If you see, we created a project JPA savings account, and it also created a persistence.xml. When I double click it, so it opens a persistence.xml. When I go to source, I can see the persistent unit is JPA saving account, and inside this setting we doesn't provide anything. All those stuff we will learn in the next coming videos. So that's all. Now our workspace is having 5 projects. Let's go to JavaEE perspective. Let's try starting it. So server is started. Let's check. Add and remove. Now EAR project is containing 4 subprojects: EJB Bean client, EJB web, and our new JPA project, JPA savings account. We will add this single packaging unit. Then we'll click finish. Okay, server is started. Now we will stop this. Just want to make sure everything is starting up properly. Now we will remove this. then we will stop our server. So that's all here in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.